like the first place to start with, I think, is the evil Avengers rumor. Now, out of curiosity, I mean, a lot of you guys probably knew about this evil Avengers rumor, right? Like, I would assume a lot of you know about it. Let me know in the chat, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like, this actually started in a couple of different ways here. And it's unfortunate because I think what is happening is fake leaks. I think Marvel has been doing this, and damn, dude, they got us again. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I got a lot of fucking criticisms of this whole thing that Marvel's doing here because, let me just skip to the end here. It's crazy to make fake leaks that are cooler than what you're actually doing. Please stop doing that. Now, we don't know for sure, right? We have to kind of speculate about this, but I'm thinking back to a couple of different projects. This includes Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four had some leaks very early on that ended up not being true. Okay, so this is stuff like their universe was going to be destroyed. This is stuff like Galactus wanted Franklin to reshape the universe, like stuff like that, right? Now, a similar thing happened with Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I need you to just go with me on this, okay? Because we don't know for sure, but this is what it feels like it's happening. Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. The first round of Deadpool and Wolverine scoops, which came through a lot of normal sources and people, was about like Magneto and shit. It had Phoenix versus Scarlet Witch and all this stuff, and we were all like, yo, this shit's crazy. Ended up being the case that those were all fake leaks. That was stuff Marvel put out intentionally to throw the scoopers off the scene. Okay? So it kind of seems like that's going on again because look, Paul from Heavy Spoilers has incredible sources. Like he has, he's really connected. He has good sources. Paul made one of the first videos about Doomsday. And he made a big video about Scarlett Johansson and evil ScarJo and, her coming back. Now, this was on the heels of a lot of stuff that came out from like Alex Perez and some of these other people about, maybe some Maestro Hulk, maybe some Hydra Cap. Like it started to seem that way. By the way, even Jeff Snyder at the time started talking about the OGs returning as evil variants. Like he started talking about this, like a whole bunch of people started talking about this all at the same time. And then Paul's video hits. And the thing is, it's like, it seemed like that was all legit and all real. And I think this shaped a lot of the speculation, the theory crafting with regards to Avengers Doomsday. And I just want to be super clear here. We don't know for sure. This could still be in the movie, but I was told yesterday from a very reliable person that there's no Hydra Cap, there's no evil Avengers. All of that stuff was a fugazi. And in fact, I sort of asked this person, do you think this was another one of those fake leaks? And they said yes. You know what I mean? So, damn, right? Like, damn. So, look, on the one hand, sure, it's good to have fake leaks. And, after Fantastic Four came out, I was actually happy to have been surprised by some of the stuff in that film. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, they actually figured out how to throw the scoopers off, right? And I think it has to do with this, like, fake leaks very early, and then that kind of, like, frames things differently, right? And, like, gets people to figure that out. The problem is, though, this actually hasn't really worked because after a little bit of time, everybody figured out what was going on and kind of found a way to get to the bottom of it. And I think ultimately the problem is there's so many leaks from Marvel that it's like, sure, they might be able to put some fake shit out, but as soon as they actually start making these movies, there's just so many motherfuckers that are going to find out what's really happening. Now, look, hopefully, chat, and I'm really hoping that this is true, hopefully there are still secrets here, and I assume there are, not only because the movie's probably changing, maybe some stuff we're going to talk about today will get changed and not actually be in the film or whatever, and hopefully just they have still figured out a way to throw people off. But like deadass guys, like I'm a little disappointed in Marvel because all this shit is out there. Like this Luke Cage thing, the fucking house. Like, did they really think just making that dude named Luke Cage was going to be enough to actually throw people off the scent. Like, that just, like, I don't know. I feel like you just made it easier in some ways. I feel like you made the breadcrumb trail even easier by using this, like, elaborate fucking fake thing that then was really easy to identify after that, right? So I'm just saying, like, bro, I don't know what the solution is for the leaks and for the scoops and everything like that. But ultimately, like, they still haven't fixed the problem. You know what I mean? They still haven't fixed the problem. Now, with all of that said, like, there's a part of me that's really hoping they did fix the problem, because I'd like for this person I talked to be wrong, right? I would love it if the person I talked to didn't know what they were talking about. But my gut is telling me that this is what it is. Okay, my gut is telling me this is what it is. Rob, I see you, baby. We can get you in here, but give me a second. I got to go off for a little bit. So why is this even an issue? Okay, why is this an issue at all? Well, I think for me, and you would have to let me know. You would have to let me know what you think, chat. But for me, it feels a little bit bad that this other idea was presented, and it actually, like, here's what's so weird, right? So let's assume this is fake leaks. By the way, if you think it's fake leaks, throw a 1 into the chat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested. Do you think that these are actually fake leaks? Do you think this is what Marvel is doing? If it is, I feel like they fucked up, because the Dark Avengers leaks and the way Paul described it wasn't just like a leak. It was a leak that made sense. It had story, like, I was like, oh, dude, that is interesting. Yes, a lot of the newer Avengers would have a hard time coping with an evil version of the person they liked, you know, all that. Like, it actually, like, it was juicy. And it's just like, Marvel, if your solution to this was, let's pick leaks that are so believable and so hyped up that the fans will buy into them, and then we'll do something completely different, that's a terrible fucking plan, dude. That's a terrible plan. See, do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? That's a fucking terrible plan, because that has led to a scenario, I think, with probably Multiverse of Madness, Deadpool and Wolverine to a degree, and, you know, Fantastic Four and honestly Thunderbolts, that the expectations for what will happen are so much cooler than what actually happens, right? Now, maybe not, right? Maybe Marvel is not putting these fake leaks out, and maybe it's literally the case that the most hyped up, fun, fanboyish shit gets out there, and people are like, yo, like, this is hype. This is it, you know, and they buy into it. But, like, I almost don't believe that. I almost have to blame Marvel. It feels like that's the Occam's razor solution. It feels like Marvel is literally doing this. And again, I'm just like, bro, like, that's not how you do this, bro. You know? So, anyway, I had thought that the Dark Avengers storyline was really cool, really interesting. And I'm still hoping that it's real. Like, maybe it's just being hidden so well that, like, this person cannot conceive of a reality in which it's real. But I don't think so, man. I think it's really more Steve. Maybe the OGs that are there are actually there. But you know what? Another thing this makes me think of is, like, do you guys recall how crazy the pushback was from Scarlett Johansson? Like, Scarlett Johansson has been very vocal about not being in Doomsday and the other one. And in fact, like, Scarlett Johansson had Marvel take her name off of the Thunderbolts movie as a producer. And I remember when all of that was going down, I'm just like, wow, she's really committed to this bit. Like, it feels like she's really committed to not being in the movie. And then, you know, you even think of, like, she's in the Jurassic film, and the Jurassic film kind of ate both comic book movies launch this year. Right? So it's like, damn, like maybe she's not in this movie, bro. Maybe she's like all the way over it. And they used a plan they had as misdirection to try to throw off the scent of what it actually is, right? So to me, this bit here is a little hard, man. It's a tough one because I really do think it was cool. I was pretty convinced that it was real. And I also kind of low-key blame Marvel, dude. Like, I kind of low-key blame Marvel. I actually do think they might be putting this shit out. It's like, maybe when you do the fake leaks, make them way more lame. You know? Because it just has felt like for a long time in the MCU that the fan theories are better than what Marvel does. In fact, we've talked about it many times, right? Like, it really feels like whatever the fans come up with, whatever the theories are, whatever the speculation is, they feel always better, more ambitious, more cool than what the studio does. And I don't know, I guess I just thought maybe for Doomsday, which seems like a pretty fucking important movie, you know, maybe Doomsday would have been a good time to break with tradition and actually do the craziest fucking most ambitious shit, man. And I just don't know. With what they currently have cooking, it just doesn't seem like that's it. So